versus Mako. Violent Tendencies being one of our teams from our last season, and Mako being a new team that joined just this season. I'm excited to see what they can do, as I believe they joined our league as a already established team. So, not much has been seen from these players going into this season, so I'm really excited to see what they can do. By the way, I do believe both teams are ready to go. And we are getting started. Our first map will be Hollywood. One of those... Hollywood is our control escort map, meaning that you must first capture the objective, then move a payload to the final resting point. And honestly, Hollywood is, from what can be a very fun map to play. I mean, you get a lot of very strong bunker comps coming into this map, especially with the Orisa Bastion. You also have seen Torbjorns and Widowmakers come out on this map. So, I'm excited to see what both these teams are playing. Now, OLOC is being used in our league from the very beginning of the season, so there will be 2 DPS, 2 supports, and 2 tanks on both teams for the entire match. If any team ever runs 3 DPS or 3 tanks or 3 supports, then the map will be forfeit unless... I mean, I might give some wiggle room, but like, say they are switching, but whoever is playing it support for this round has to remain a support, meaning people like WT and Dr. Skit, as well as Spooky Assassin and an actual Falcon, they must remain on that support role for this round. So if they switch off to a DPS, then they have broken the role lock. But anyway, going into this map, it looks like we have Violent Tendencies running a Junkrat Orisa comp with Roadhog, and that has proven to be a very powerful composition. Junkrat can be very strong into this map, whereas when we look at what Mako is running, they have a Sombra, which could disrupt a lot of this abilities, such as when they're running against the Baptiste and a Roadhog. Those are very ability-based characters, and that Sombra could cause some major disruptions. And it looks like, though, Mako is starting to push straight forward, using that Orisa shield to give them some room, pulling that Roadhog in. He is able to escape with his life, and that Orisa shield keeps inching closer to that point, giving Mako some wiggle room. Ooh, nice halt from Mako, but nobody fell in that. Corey takes out the immortality field. And it looks like Mako is trying to figure out their way to get into this. A nice pull, though, onto actual Falcon. This could be Mako's chance to really get into this fight. Pengu, though, returning the favor by taking down Violent's own Baptiste. Very strange fight going on, although with the Roadhog taking down the Widowmaker, although Violent Tendencies returns with 2 picks of their very own. The point is starting to be capped, but with Sombra is forced off, and Mako is pulling back. Very well executed. Although they lost the supports, it didn't stop Violent Tendencies from really doing anything, from stopping Mako from making their assault forward. We do see, though, Violent Tendencies has a Riptire ready to go, as well as Mako, though, having ults coming online. That EMP is going to be a very useful ult in order to break up this composition. Riptire, though, coming out from Violent Tendencies. Let's see if it's going to get anybody. Ooh, but a pick, though, falls to Mako, or false Violent Tendencies with an Archangel falling. Looks like Mako is forced to stay back for the time being while they wait for their teammate to get back into this fight. We also, though, from Violent Tendencies, we do see a lot of ults coming out. We see the EMP, though, pop out, and that is going to cause the deaths of both the Roadhog and the Orisa, as well as causing the death of Baptiste and the Ashe. And it looks like Mako is able to make their presence onto this point and start capping the point. Junkrat comes in to try and defend it for one last chance, but dies almost immediately, and this payload does start to move forward. Very well used ults, although they did use almost every ult in that, using that nano boost, the whole hog, the EMP, and the supercharger. It did allow them to make that push, but there is somebody leaving, meaning that that game guy has about 10 minutes to join back in, or else they will have to continue with a 5v6. And as Morlox is telling me, the captain of Violent Tendencies, is that they are playing on EU servers, so they have very high ping. So, and they are playing very well though for having such high ping. They're not making this an easy fight at all for Mako, which just shows what this team has to bring. Although we will wait until about 5:16 or 5:19 for that guy gaming to return. Hopefully he's able to get back into the game. If he's not, then they will be forced into a 5v6 for the remainder of this map. And let's find out exactly what they're able to do, though. Although there was a very well executed push, though, from Violent Tendencies. Although they did use all, or not Violent Tendencies, from Mako. Although they did use almost every ult that they have, they do have ults coming online very shortly. They also switch off to the Bastion that I'm noticing, which means that they're going to be running a little bit of a pirate ship, which can be very difficult for them to break out of. I just want to see what they're going to have to do with this comp. It definitely isn't going to make it very easy for Violent Tendencies to keep this fight going. Make it very easy. But it is going to make this very tough fight for Violent Tendencies going into this match, being that they do have to run against a team that not much is known about. I'm very excited to see exactly what they're going to do with this. Morlock still hasn't switched off the Junkrat, although he does have a Rip Terror coming back on soon. As well as they also look like Violent Tendencies has a Bob coming up with a Supercharger, an Immortality Field, and a Coalescence all online. Meaning that they might be able to hold a very strong defense on this. They could even just possibly use the Amplification Matrix in order to just end that fight right away, popping out so much damage. If they pop it right in front of that payload, and then throw the Orisa shield in front of it, it's going to be very easy for Violent Tendencies to keep this point, as Mako doesn't have very many ults to go off of. In fact, they burned one of their ults in order to switch off to the Bastion, meaning they only have an Amplification Matrix going into this next fight. It's really going to come down to if that Sombra can pick up her EMP very fast in order to be able to just knock out the entirety of Violent Tendencies. We are still waiting, though, to see if that game guy is going to join back, and it looks like he has. So the game will be restarting back up, and the game will continue now as pause ticks down. That game guy is going to switch over to the D.Va instead. Very nice pick. It's going to be able to put some pressure onto the backline especially. Let's see if Violent Tendencies is going to be able to hold a very strong ult. We have Mako popping their Amplification Matrix right onto the point. It really gets no value out of that, although we do see the Sombra take out Ashe. And Sombra looking for a little bit of a scout, trying to figure out where the enemy team is. Gets the nice hack off that Orisa. They just canceled out the entirety of that Supercharger. Coalescence, though, coming out from Violent Tendencies to keep the point contested. Archangel, though, taking out the Junkrat, although that game guy is going to take out Archangel. And it looks like Violent Tendencies is going to hold for the time being. However, Sombra is making her push. And EMP gets popped right onto the entirety of Violent Tendencies there. with Roadhog falling due to that EMP, and it looks like so is the Baptiste, and all of Violent Tendencies is struggling to keep their people up as Junkrat falls very quickly, although the Orisa does fall to Violence Orisa. Corey, and it looks like she's going to escape with her life for the time being. Moira is going to be attacked, but that game guy once again leaves. It's really tough to be running with very high ping, although eye latency is very high, so I believe these are EU servers in actuality. Because my latency is normally around 50, and right now I'm sitting at a 130, it looks like. So I believe these are EU servers, so it might be an issue with his Wi-Fi himself. However, we still will pause the game though for him to try and rejoin. 10 minutes still starts going up with the game restarting or starting back up at 5:24 now at the latest. See if he is going to be able to join back up. Anyways, I believe though that was a really well use of ults, and that Sombra was able to get up her EMP very fast, which did help Mako be able to keep that push going, and that Bastion is just proving to be a big threat to Violent Tendencies, just laying in a lot of damage very fast. However, we also see that Baptiste is getting his ult online, as well as Mako's Bastion, Roadhog, and Orisa. Those ults are coming online very soon, as well as we also see an Ana's Nano Boost, which is going to keep somebody alive, hopefully, especially from this Riptire that was used. However, we also see, though, that Corey has a supercharger coming that's halfway there to coming online, as well as Spooky Assassin's Moira has her coalescence coming online very soon. I'm wondering if Violent Tendencies are going to be able to use these ults in order to make a solid hold. It looks like the payload is just about to hit the checkpoint, so if this tire can be big enough, it could stop Mako in their tracks. I'm very interested to see what this tire is going to do, and if it's going to be able to pick somebody off. We do see Pengu, though, switched over to the Doomfist, which could add a little bit of an extra level of backline assault, as Doomfist can be used very aggressively in order to initiate fights and disengage with his high mobility. His passive ability of also regaining shields gives him incredible survivability. Although it does look like they may have to finish this map as a 5v6, which will work. Because I would hate to see this map get forfeit just because their player can't join back in. So, I don't know if they are going to forfeit this map or not. And they are going to continue as a 5v6, so I will unpause this match now. We do see, though, this Riptire coming in from Morlock. Let's see if it's going to be able to catch anybody off guard. It looks like it is able to catch two. It catches the Ana and the Bastion, and this fight might have just gone into the ways for Mako to open the way for Violent Tendencies to take out Mako in this fight. Doomfist going right into the middle of the fray, being a massive nuisance, but he is going to be taken down by the enemy Baptiste. An amplification matrix on both sides with immortality field, though, on the side of Violent Tendencies. And it looks like they might be able to hold this for the time being. More result coming out from Violent Tendencies, and it looks like they are going to continue to hold. Baptiste looks like he is going to fall very soon, as well as this Ana, and that causes a full reset for Mako. Very well used ults in order to take out those enemies that they needed to take out, although we do see Sombra, though, with her EMP once again. As well as we also see Doomfist with a Meteor Strike coming up very shortly. Doomfist, though, jumping straight into the fight. He is going to fall, though, very quickly to that Baptiste once again. Although we do see Sombra once again with that EMP. Let's see if she's going to make anything out of this. Looks like she's going to try and take out the Junkrat before she can make any moves. A nice EMP, though, from Mako once again with a whole hog that is going to cause the death of the Moira. Now, if that guy gamer is still that gamer guy is still able to join, he is still able to join. However, these are lots of big picks with that Sombra falling down. As well as Morlock's taking down the McCree with a supercharger on the side of Mako, as well as a amplification matrix on both sides. However, those matrices are not being used to their full effectiveness, as that immortality field had to be thrown down. 10 seconds left on this clock. Can Violent Tendencies be able to hold this right where the payload stands? We have a Hanzo, though, in the backlines of Violent Tendencies. And Supercharger, though, comes in, as well as another Riptire. It is going to cause the death of a Tracer, as well as Violent Tendencies taking out the enemy Roadhog. Superchargers, though, or Immortality Fields on both sides do fall with a nice pull from the Orisa. She's contesting as long as she can, but I do not know how long she will be able to stay up. Ana and Baptiste are there to keep her alive as long as possible, although we see a massive Dragons causing the death of both healers, and the Orisa falls. And that ends that push. Now, even though the pause is not in effect anymore, that gamer guy is still able to join into this match, if he's able to join in. That slot will remain open for him to rejoin if he's able to. But very well done for Violent Tendencies. They didn't let that 5v6 mess them up at all as well. In fact, they used that that false sense of security for Mako in order to keep that payload where it stands. Now, although they are on a 5v6, this 2-2-2 lock is still in play, meaning that there will be one person on a solitary role. But man, sometimes though I would love to see some of these movies, such as Heroes of the Storm. Hero of the Storm, starring Diva. If only Overwatch would do that sometime, although it does look like, though, we are going to see a solo tank possibly coming out from Violent Tendencies, whereas we do see a Bastion hold once again with a nice Baptiste Bastion bunker, a very classic composition that we've been seeing in comp lately. We have the Bastion able to pump out a lot of damage with Roadhog and Orisa using the old Hook combo, with a Baptiste able to keep this 4-stack up completely using his Immortality Field. Then the other DPS and healer could just be whatever you want to provide some assault onto the enemy team as much as you want. You could even run a Hanzo, maybe even a Widowmaker, although you do see a lot of Pharah sometimes, as we see here. We are going to see, though, a Pharah Mercy from both sides. That could cause a massive amount of heals to the Pharah and keep her up in this fight and stop that Bastion from really being able to do much. But we do see, though, Mako is going to win the Pharah duel, although a Resurrect is going to come off onto Pengu. And it looks like they are moving around the other side. Hammond gets pulled and is killed due to the Bastion. Genji, though, coming into the fray to try and distract the Bastion a little bit, although Roadhog is going to take his life. And it looks like Mako is going to hold this point, with Bastion taking out Mercy, as well as causing the death of the Pharah. And it looks like Violent Tendencies is going to pull back for the time being. Although it could have been done better, Violent Tendencies did start to make a little bit of progress from what I understand. Starting to understand how to move around this Bastion. They're going to have to use the backlines and use the high mobility to get underneath the Bastion, right under where he's set up. If they can do that, they can force the tanks onto the point and basically force them into a fight that they want. An attempted pull is not going to catch anybody. We have the Sombra, though, in the backlines looking to try and get a nice hack onto the Bastion, most likely. We do see Pharah, though, coming up with a barrage very soon. With that pocketed Mercy, it's going to be unlivable if she gets damage boosted. Barrage, though, looks like it's going to come in. And it is going to take the life of the Mercy as well as the Baptiste. Well, Bastion does come away with the kill. Pharah's barrage did cause enough damage for her to fall very easily. And it looks like the Roadhog is going to cause the nice hold by taking down the soldier. Sombra still looking to try and get a hack off. I don't know if Violent Tendencies are going to be able to push on to this point. In my opinion, I think they might have to switch off to a Diva in order to really get some mobility onto this and start absorbing some of that Bastion's damage. Either that, or Violent Tendencies needs to make a massive distraction to the Bastion so the Sombra can get a hack off onto him, so they can really start to push forward. Hammond, though, jumps right into the fray, although Tak is going to take out Morlocks once again, with Roadhog ready to come in. Bastion, though, is going to be forced off to the high ground. He's going to have to set up some... Or Bastion was not forced off to the high ground, although I thought he was, and Bastion is going to take out the life of the Mercy, with Pharah taking out Sombra. Not much really to be said from this. Mako is just showing a very strong defense, with Violent Tendencies not really being able to do too much in order to combat this. Switching over to the Soldier, it would contest the Pharah, but they still have a massive disadvantage against this Bastion, especially now that Mako has 6 ults online. With only less than a minute left on the clock, Mako could just pop all their ults and just hard hold this point. As both teams, though, are coming up with all their ults online, this is going to be the deciding fight of who's going to win this first map. 30 seconds remaining, and this looks like their last push. A massive EMP with a Hammond Mines coming straight onto the top of them. With these ults being used, 4 of them were used, and it caused the death of almost the entire team, leaving only the Mercy alive. Pengu, though, is going to fall, and it looks like they are coming back, but just not in time for this payload to start moving. Morlocks, though, taking down the Pharah is going to help this fight continue in their favor. Falcon taking down Orisa, and Morlocks looking for another kill on the one of the heroes, the Mercy or the Baptiste. It looks like Baptiste might fall, but it looks like he does escape with his life, and it looks like Mako is starting to reset and figure out where they want to hold next. Very well used ults. That EMP was the biggest thing that they needed, and they used that perfectly, taking out 5 people's abilities and taking out that shield. Bastion was left all alone, basically, and had no chance of holding. Although, Mako does still have all their ults ready to go. With a supercharger, though, coming straight out, with Bastion causing the death of the soldier once again, as well as taking out the immortality field. The supercharger definitely proving to be being a very useful asset, causing a team kill. Very well executed, only using the supercharger in order to keep those people out. Although, we do see a Widow, though, come out from the side of Violent Tendencies. this could prove to be very effective in keeping them at bay as well, especially that Pharah, which has her barrage up once again and is still being pocketed by the Mercy. Roadhog, though, is going to cause the death of Morlocks with this Hammond coming in to try and help save the Mercy that was being attacked by Pharah. Bastion still being an assault on to Violent Tendencies. Still having Configuration Take ready to go. Let's see if anything's going to happen. A nice kill, though, from the Widowmaker onto the Pharah. Hammond, though, dropping in with his mines, dealing massive amounts of damage and causing the death of the Bastion to a point, as well as Amplification Matrix. But it isn't going to matter, as Pharah and Orisa are going to fall to a tactical visor by the Soldier, and this payload continues to move forward with Mercy also dying to Pengu's Widowmaker. This could be the last chance that Violent Tendencies has to move this payload forward. As long as they can keep one person onto this payload, they have a good likelihood of being able to stay in this game and actually coming out with a win on this map, being that they were at a disadvantage of a 5v6. Although we do see a whole hog that is going to cause the death of 2 people, as well as force this time to drop to 10 seconds, as well as taking out the Baptiste. It looks like Mercy is going to have to hold this point as best as she can. Hammond drops in just in time to cause the overtime, but he is going to be hacked and taken out very quickly, and OT ticks down, and it looks like Mako is going to take the first map of this match. Very well done. Although they were at a disadvantage, they almost pushed it all the way to the very end and capped this point. It is possible that they could have taken the entire map. However, unfortunately, they were not able to. And this match will continue as we go back to our lobby. We did have somebody join the game, and I just want to check to see whose team they are on. They're not on any team, so... Is it Chorma? Let's see if, though, any team is going to make any subs. I also want to see if either of them know who this person is. Let's find out if there is going to be any subs. I know Violent Tendencies most definitely is going to put one of their players in. However, whether it being Ike or Fuel, I'm not sure who they want to put in. But our next map is going to be, I believe, Ilios, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is Ilios, and then we will be going to the Horizon Lunar Colony, and then finally to Dorado for our escort map. Let's find out what these teams are going to run. Ilios is definitely one of those maps that you can see a variety of different comps on, although Hog Orisa is very prevalent on these maps, being that Orisa is able to just hold that point so effectively, whereas Roadhog is just able to capitalize off that halt and pull somebody in to deal massive amounts of damage. And it looks like this person is with is with Mako. However, they are not on the roster, and I'm just going to let them know. And they are going to put in Jin. Violent Tendencies is going to put in Jin instead. And let's see if Mako isn't going to be making any subs. So let's see if Violent Tendencies is ready to go. Although this match has been very close, fairly. And it's hard to interact with the chat, Morpheus, by the way, because I'm constantly checking the Discord to see what the captains are saying. So it's hard for me to really look back at the chat a lot when I'm constantly switching between two things. Although, let's see if Warlocks and Violent Tendencies is ready to go. But yeah, I do have my chat on my phone, so it's really hard to just constantly swap back and forth between the two. Oh, I could try to do it like this. It wouldn't really work too well. Yeah. Let's see here if I can't make this easy for me. There we go. Now I can check both fairly easily. And it looks like Morlox is going to put an Ike for Falcon as well. Very interesting pick. Falcon was doing a lot, but it looks like he wants to put an Ike and see how that works. Going into Ilios, this could be exactly what is needed for might be just what is needed for Violent Tendencies to take away this map. And if they are able to take this map, go and force this to a 2v2 or a 2-2 score, our last map will be Busan, being a second control point map in this map set. So I want to know if the Orisa Hog is going to be run. It most likely will. Although there have been times you see Reinhardt's come out, especially on Lighthouse, where he seems to be more effective than Orisa is. Let's see if Morlox is now ready to continue this game. Or if he would like Falcon in instead. Ike is in Morpheus, and it is going to be a very interesting time. And I'll try and have some Ike on the screen. He has proven to be a very strong player in this league. I'm excited to see what he can do for Violent Tendencies, as he was on Nocturnal last season, and they did take second place in our playoffs. So, it is going to be a very tough match. Mako definitely proving that they do have a lot to bring to the table in this. And Violent Tendencies definitely holding their own, showing that they can hold their own very effectively, being that they did almost win a map in a 5v6. So now that they have all 6 players, I'm almost certain that Violent Tendencies might be able to take this map, although I'm not holding my breath on that. Yeah, I just said that Mako almost lost the 5v6. Violent Tendencies almost won at a disadvantage. So I'm fairly certain that Violent might be able to take this map, if not the next two, if they are able to play this right and don't have any more connection problems. Uh, it is going to be very close, I'm going to think, with the rest of this game, being that both these teams are very strong contenders. Mako did show that they do have something to bring to the table, being that they were able to push the payload very effectively, although Violent Tendencies showing that they're not going to give this matchup very easily, showing that they can hold a map at a 5v6 disadvantage. I'm just waiting for the ready to go from Morlocks for his team to be ready to start this next map. Once I have the all clear, this map will start. Anyways, bring the mayhem. I would like to see some Junkrat though. Then you could actually bring total mayhem into this match. But hopefully there will be some mayhem brought. Lots of very strong team fights hopefully will be brought into this. Not very many in Hollywood, although there were some good fights going on. It was very just early picks stopping team fights from really picking up until that OT clock was starting to tick down. So I'm still just waiting though for Violent Tendencies to give the okay for this match to start. And hopefully they will give it very soon, as I would like this map to keep going on and keep the ball rolling for this match. And it looks like they are ready to go, and our match is starting.
Now arriving at Ilios.
And it looks... I wonder which maps we are going to end up on Ilios. Maybe we will... it looks like we're going to start with Ruins. Now, the three maps on Ilios are the Ruins, the Well, and the Lighthouse. And Ruins is one where you see a lot of Widowmakers and a lot of Pharas, being that there's very open space. And can be very easy for teams to run a Widowmaker or a Phara, as you got these high ground advantages, as well as just such an open sky that Phara can be used very effectively. It also is possible that a dive composition can be run on this, running a Lucio and a Winston with a Diva. And with the 2-2-2 lock, it is quite possible that those dive compositions will come back, with Baptiste being very effective, I think, in dive compositions. And it looks like we are going to see a dive composition from Violent Tendencies with Genji, Lucio, Moira, Widowmaker, and a Winston Diva. Whereas from Mako, it looks like they're going to be running a very close-range hold composition with the Reinhardt and the Roadhog. As well, actually, they're going to be running a Risa Hog. A very strong composition. It's definitely proving to be very powerful in... it is going to be very effective, as it's being proven to be very strong and competitive at the time being. Although Widowmaker is used heavily on these maps just because of all these high ground advantages, Widowmaker is more effective, especially on Well and Lighthouse. She's just seen more because of those high grounds. Although, a nice pick onto the Phara, an easy pick taking her out, although it is going to be res. Although Violent Tendencies is going to take down both the Phara and the Mercy this time. And it looks like they are going to be very powerful in holding this point and taking advantage of it very fast. And another pick from the Widowmaker, this time only being an Immortality field, unfortunately. Although this Winston is definitely proving to be very effective in this map. Reaper, though, coming in, is going to be taken down by the Widowmaker with an Infrasight being given to her team. Now all of Violent Tendencies has wall hacks. You can see exactly where Mako is trying to push from. A nice headshot, taking down almost all of that Arisa's health. Hanzo, though, popping dragons is going to cause the death of the Lucio, with Zito starting to pull back, as well as the Winston, in order to regroup and re-engage into this fight. Coalescence coming out from Violent Tendencies is going to cause the destruction of the supercharger. Winston getting slept but woken up almost immediately with an amplification matrix for Violent Tendencies is going to demech the Diva and cause her death, as well as leading to the death of the Genji. And it looks like Violent Tendencies is going to flip this point over. Although it isn't, this fight isn't going to end with another pick on from Pengu onto Mako's Hanzo, as well as another pick onto an Ana. That is another healer down. This could be Violent Tendencies' chance to make a push into this point, with Ike pushing in with this Winston, causing the death of the Baptiste. The whole hog comes out on the side of Mako to try and push everybody off the point. However, he is going to die due to Morlock's Dragon Blade, as well as Corey, the Diva, with Ike taking down another pick of the Orisa, and this point is going to flip back over to Violent Tendencies. Very well executed push. They used the effectiveness of that Widowmaker in order to make some very strong pushes right away, capitalizing off the fact of those two picks being taken down with another nice headshot from the Pengu, the Widowmaker. Reaper coming into the backline is going to be taken down by Morlocks, with Ike coming back in to try and assault this front line once again. This dive proving to be very effective for Violent Tendencies. A nice, in order to keep himself up, Ike pops that Primal Rage. It was also used to keep people at bay with a nice self-destruct from Corey, and it looks like this point is going to continue to be held with Violent Tendencies holding Mako at their spawn. Mako switching over to a dive composition, running the Widowmaker in order to contest Pegmu, as well as switching over to Zenyatta to give some some much needed heals from a range. However, it looks like they are going to move into the smaller room on this right side. Overtime starts to get down with a Death Blossom coming out. It is going to cause the death of Spooky Assassin, but two people have fallen, both the Winston and the Ana, with picks constantly falling into the side of Violent Tendencies. Morlock popping that Dragon Blade. It looks like he is going to take the life of Zenyatta and possibly even Tracer, and he does take the life of Tracer with the end of this push and the end of Ruins. Very well done from Violent Tendencies. This is definitely what I expected to see from them, with how effectively they were able to hold that point and move it forward in a 5v6 situation, meaning that this could mean that Violent Tendencies has the upper hand in this match going into this. It doesn't look like there's going to be any swaps. It looks like, though, Mako is going to go back to the hold composition that they were running before with the Orisa, Hog, and Baptiste. Although now they are running May Symmetra, which is going to cause some major disruption, especially if they're able to get to the point very soon, and using this Lucio effectively could allow them to get to the point almost immediately. Although it looks like Violent Tendencies is going to take an early high ground advantage, Mako does take the point almost right away, with the Ike falling immediately before this fight has even began. It looks like Mako is just going to take early advantage of this point, with Pengmu, though, not leaving the fight without taking out the Symmetra. Diva is going to come in and cause the use of the Immortality Field, with Morlocks in the middle of the fray. These Sim turrets are definitely proving to be very effective for Mako right now, causing the death of the Lucio. Although Ike does jump in and will take out Lucio, although both him and Morlocks are going to fall. Pengmu, though, once again taking out the Symmetra, staying at a distance, keeping them away from the fight. It does look like, though, Mako is going to continue to have this hold very strong, with the Symmetra turrets being used very powerfully, just locking out those entrances into the point and going to pump out massive amounts of damage. It looks like instead we are going to see a Pharah come out from Morlocks in order to start a little bit of high ground contesting. Nice pick on to the Baptiste, with her falling, though, to the Sim turret. Although a nice Blizzard to lock out the point. Pengmu is going to take out two picks, and it looks like Violent Tendencies is going to start pushing forward and will cause a cleanup. Pegmu being very dangerous on this Widowmaker, showing exactly what they are able to do. Almost getting a nice pick onto the Lucio early on. They do miss that pick, although a nice shot onto Roadhog. It looks like, though, Violent Tendency is starting to move forward ever so slightly into the push. Mako starting to work their way in. Switching over to the Genji. Pengmu is going to take him down. Supercharger is used and will cause the destruction of that shield, although Orisa's shield does come up fairly quickly. A Rocket Barrage will cause the death of Roadhog with that Resurrect onto Morlocks. Pegmu still being a huge asset for his team, causing the death of not one but two people, as well as making a massive headshot onto the Orisa and causing her death as well. We also see, though, a whole hog, and it looks like a supercharger coming up very soon. Mako switching over to the Sombra to try and contest this Roadhog and this Orisa, as well as possibly even try and contest this Widowmaker. Although how effective that's going to be, I am not sure. A nice pull onto Violent Tendencies Roadhog. He does escape with his life. And though Mako, though, uses this Amplification Matrix to its effectiveness, taking out both the tanks and able to start an advance forward onto this point. With Lucio onto the point, he is going to pop. It looks like he used his sound barrier, but it didn't look like it went off for some reason. Although, and it does look like this point does flip back over to the property of Mako. Mako Sombra right in the middle of the backlines, looking for her opportunity to get a nice hack off, possibly onto the Hanzo, the Mercy, or the Roadhog. She is going to start targeting the Hanzo, but a nice takedown by Pengmu, taking down that Sombra before she was able to do anything, and a supercharger is popped on both sides. Whole hog used by Violent Tendencies to get back into this point. Used by Corey. It is gonna cause the death of nobody, but a nice pull onto Baptiste, causing his death, and Violent Tendencies looking like they are going to flip this point back over into their favor. Sombra trying to escape. She is going to die to the hook, with Hammond switching onto by Mako, but it didn't matter as Violent Tendencies takes this map. Very effectively done by Violent Tendencies. Ike really showing exactly what he brings to the table, being a tank player, as well as Pengmu starting to really pop off on that Widowmaker, showing what they can do as a DPS player. These two together are proving to be very, very powerful team members, causing the deaths of 4 people, it looks like. That Roadhog was definitely a very powerful force, and Violent Tendencies showing just what they have to bring to this table.
Par excellence.
And Bai, I believe, is on, I believe Biological, or Bionicle, or whatever their name was, I believe they are on Mako, and I just want to double check that. And they are. So, Mako now has another player that they can play with. I do not want to do that. Let's see if there is going to be any more subs coming into this, as our next map will be, the Horizon Lunar Colony. Probably one of the most hated maps in the game. It is in our first map set for the season, so unfortunately you cannot escape the tyranny that is Horizon Lunar Colony. I wonder if Morlocks is going to sub anybody in and put in Falcon instead of somebody else that is currently in, or I wouldn't blame them if they decide to run the comp that they are currently running, as it is showing to be very useful to them. I do believe that it is possible that Morlock will run the same comp that he has been running for this, which I would not be at all upset about. These are very strong plays, and it looks like Violent Tendencies is able to hold Mako at bay with this composition. Just waiting to see if Morlock is ready to go, or if he is going to sub anybody out. Falcon is going to go in for Duke, or is going to go in for Pingmu, actually. It was a typo by Morlock, but it looks like he's actually going to go in for Pangmu, which might be more effective, as you don't see much Widowmaker or Hanzo's played on Horizon Lunar Colony, as you don't really need to see that hit scan ability, as far isn't normally seen. Such closed areas, you see more of a Junkrat than you do of a Hara, meaning that this could be exactly what Violent Tendencies is planning on doing. Let's see if both teams are ready to go. And yeah, I do use effectively far too often. It's hard for me to think of something else to do in a split second. Let's see how well Violent Tendencies, though, is going to be able to play this. Sombra, though, is used quite heavily, though, going into Horizon Lunar Colony. Especially as of late, being that you see these bunker-style comps coming out so often. Sombra has that ability to hack that bunker comp out of use and allow the team to push into a Bastion or push into an Orisa Hog. So Sombra, I think, might be the key player into this map.
Traveling to Horizon Lunar Colony.
Let's see what Violent Tendencies and Mako are going to run going into this map. Now, I would not also be surprised to see a Bastion Orisa hold taking up this high ground going into this first point, because Bastion is able to hold this corner very easily. It's very hard for a team to push into that, as well as you also see a lot of the times Torbjorn setting up a turret on this high ground, so that it is much harder for a team to really push in and start to get around a Bastion, as there's only really two routes that you can take to approach this first point. You either go through these stairs, or through these doors, or you have to go around the left side. It looks like, though, we are going to see a Bastion coming out from Morlock for the defense of Violent Tendencies, with an Orisa Hog coming out from Mako. Not what I would imagine would come into this, as Orisa isn't necessarily used as a push tank. Although she can be used as such, is very difficult, especially when you're going up against a Bastion, as that shield only has 900 health and can get shredded very, very fast by Bastion. Although we do see a Symmetra coming out, meaning that it looks like they're going to try and move straight to point using Lucio's Amp It Up as for speed boost to get them right onto the point, in order for Symmetra just to teleport them straight to point and start to bunker down, is most likely what they're planning on doing. Symmetra is definitely going to be one of the biggest choices for this. Looking like she's trying to get that teleporter up. She is going to fall very fast with that immortality field, not saving the lives of anybody, with Bastion being damage boosted as well as the rest of the team. And it looked like that push ends almost immediately. Mako looking like they are trying to reassess what they want to do, switching off to the Hanzo and instead going on to Ashe Ana. This could give them an opportunity to really start to force this Bastion off the high ground. Although how useful that's going to be is still yet to be determined, as they need to be able to get the TNT over that shield, and that is going to be very difficult with this high ground. Violent and Mako looking for their opportunity to get into this. They are able to move around the side, although their Baptiste is going to fall. Hanzo coming around to the side route, with the McCree coming in to find him, as well as Roadhog. And actual Falcon is going to take down the Hanzo with a flashbang. A nice pull to keep everybody stood still. It does cause the death of 2 people, and it looks like only the 2 tanks are left alive for Mako, with the Orisa jumping off the edge, and it looks like the Roadhogs are going to start a 1v1 with Mako's Roadhog looking for the KYS instead. And it looks like Morlock's still proving to be a very effective Bastion going into this map, showing just what he's able to do and just lock out this point almost entirely. Hanzo is able to give some nice sights of where they're held up, but with this bunker style comp, you're already going to know where they're held up, meaning that that Sonic Arrow basically is ineffective and showing what you can do. Very difficult for Mako to push into this team with this strong high ground advantage. A nice pull almost causes the death of the Roadhog, it looks like, but it instead caused him to stay alive. Although Hammond does come in, he is going to fall, but it did force Bastion out of position, trying to get him back into where he wants to be. A Deadeye comes out to lock out this point even more. It does not look like it's going to catch anybody. And Roadhog sounded like he tried to hook somebody, although it did not sound like anybody died to that. Somebody, though, looks like they are trying to move around the backside. Hanzo underneath the point with this Hammond. With the Sombra coming into the backside, the Sombra pick might be what does it for Mako in order to start making their push forward. Sombra, though, is going to fall to actual Falcon. With Roadhog being left alone underneath, he is going to fall to Falcon as well. And 1 minute left on the clock. I do not know if Mako is going to be able to hold this, with the Hanzo choosing to KYS in order to reset. Zenyatta trying to get sights on what's going on. I don't think it's really going to matter, as you also have this amplification matrix that is going to basically cause an almost immediate death, with 6 ults coming online for Violent Tendencies. I believe this push might be over. A configuration tank is popped, with Bastion not being very mobile in this. Instead, he's just going to lay in a lot of damage. Although, it does look like they are starting to tick away at this point. Sombra trying to keep it in, with Tracer coming in to try and contest. Roadhog popping his whole hog in order to destroy the shield. Both hogs popping it. The Violent Tendencies Roadhog, though, or Violent Tendencies Roadhog is going to take out 2 picks, with a Transcendence coming onto the point for Mako, trying to contest as long as they can. This Transcendence, though, doesn't last very long. Sombra coming in to keep the contest going, but it isn't going to last very long, and OT ticks down as Violent Tendencies hard holds this point. Very well played from Violent Tendencies. That Bastion hold is so hard to push into that you really need that Sombra early on and get that hack off in order to push into that Bastion. Otherwise, it makes it incredibly difficult. Violent Tendencies looking like they might be able to come away with the reverse sweep. Losing that first map just because of a DC. Violent Tendencies does look like they are stronger going into this, although I do still have some hope for Mako. If they choose to do something a little bit differently, they might run exactly the same comp, which is what we're looking like that they're going to do. Instead, they are running the Pharah, not something you see very often on Horizon, as with these ceilings, it's so hard for her to be used to her maximum potential, as there is a limit to where she can fly up to, and you can clearly see that limit, so you know exactly how high Pharah is going to be, that you need to be very, very mobile as Pharah if you are going to use her effectively. But it looks like Violent Tendencies is going to run their dive composition. their dive composition once again with Ike playing Hammond instead of Diva. A different choice, but it does work very well in these dive compositions with Hammond's high mobility. You also see Morlocks once again on the Genji, but instead of seeing a Widowmaker, we're going to see a Hanzo out from Falcon. Pharah looking to get those sights onto where the enemy team is coming from. Moira ready to go in order to start this push. Immediate dive straight onto the point. You've got 3 people there, and it looks like Mako has to drop straight to the point right away with almost a C9 to a cap. It looks like the picks, though, are going to start falling into the favor of Violent Tendencies, with Bastion being way too preoccupied with what's going on at the point. Genji is going to fall, though, with picks, though, falling into the favor of Mako, and it looks like Mako is going to hold to this point for the time being. 3 minutes left on the clock. Hammond immediately going straight into the back lines, ready to go in order to push into this point. Lucio coming straight in. It looks like Violent Tendencies is looking for their opportunity to start that dive, with Hammond most likely trying to initiate, although actual Falcon is going to fall to the Pharah, with the Hammond falling to Bastion. It looks like this hold is going to continue, with Bastion being the true main player for Mako right now. Bastion, though, not on his high ground perch where he wants to be. He is starting to work his way there. Violent Tendency starting to push forward, although the Lucio is going to fall almost immediately with another pick. Make a total of 3 picks to Takra's Torb, as the Pharah with a configuration tank popped by the Bastion. It is going to lead almost to the death of the Genji, although that kill goes back to Torb, as well as the death of Ike the Hammond. Takra's Torb proving to be a very useful member for Mako right now, holding this point. It might cause a draw if they can continue to hold this for these last 2 minutes of this map. An amplification matrix onto the Bastion. In order to deal massive amounts of damage, it does go unutilized. Violent Tendencies once again looking for their opportunity to push in. Hammond does get pulled by a Holt, but he does escape with his life, with Sombra coming around to the backside. She is going to be stunned, but does escape. And it looks like this Pharah is still laying in a lot of damage, keeping this Winston at bay and leading to his demise, with the Hammond also falling to a Roadhog, as well as to the with the Moira and the Sombra both falling to Bastion and Roadhog respectively. It looks like with 1 minute left of the clock, Violent Tendencies needs to figure out what they're doing wrong in order to push into this Bastion. They need to get that EMP charged up very fast in order for them to really get a push onto this Bastion right now. With Genji's Dragon Blade, though, they still might be able to make a push without that EMP, and with that EMP coming in later. Sombra taking a little bit of a flank route to try and get an idea of where they can push in from. Although we still see this Pharah, though, lighting her up from that inner room. Pharah knows where she is, and is just trying to keep her out of her invisibility. The push immediately starts going to the point, although Pharah is going to take down the Moira, as well as starting a rocket barrage. Roadhog still onto the point, and a configuration tank is almost going to hard hold this point. Genji being one of the only ones left, his Dragon Blade isn't going to be enough in order to cap this point, although he may still have to pop it. Winston jumps in with his Primal Rage in order to stay alive for as long as he can and contest this point. An EMP comes out with a Dragon Blade from Morlocks, causing the death of the Pharah and the Bastion, as well as the Orisa. And it looks like this might be Violent Tendencies' opportunity, and with a team kill, OT does not matter as Violent Tendencies takes this point. A very well done EMP from Violent Tendencies, used just at the right time in order to allow Morlock's Dragon Blade to have its most effect, taking out causing the deaths of 5 people and leading to a team kill with that EMP. And quite possibly our final map of our game will be Dorado. The escort map that, honestly, I believe that when it comes to the community, Dorado is very hate or love. If you don't like Dorado, then you don't like Dorado. However, if you do like Dorado, you either love it or you hate it, is basically what I'm trying to say. But let's see if there is going to be any subs from these teams. It looks like Mako is ready to go. I wonder if Violent Tendencies is going to run with the comp they're already running, or if they're going to put back in Pegmu, as Widowmaker can be used is used quite often going into Dorado with all these high grounds. It looks like Lorlox is going to be switched out for Pegmu. Let's see if Violent Tendencies is ready for this possibly final map of this match. Now, it is possible, though, that Mako could win Dorado, and if they do, then we will go to Busan for our map 5. And let's see, though, if Violent Tendencies is ready to start. Let's see if they are ready to start, and if this could possibly be our last map of the match. Violent Tendencies, though, definitely showing that they are an incredibly powerful team. And Violent Tendencies is ready to go, and this could quite possibly be our last map of the match. Now, Dorado, you do see a lot of Widowmakers on, but you also can see a lot of dive compositions, being that this is a full escort map. Running a dive can allow you to push that payload very far if you are able to get early picks going into that fight. Dive compositions are seeming like they are coming back into the meta, with the roll lock being in place. I'm excited to see if Violent Tendencies is going to continue running this dive composition, with Pegmu probably being on the Widowmaker once again. And it does look like we are going to see a Hanzo Widowmaker composition from Violent Tendencies, with a Baptiste Mercy and a Hog Orisa. Very nice hold from a very nice ranged hold for Violent Tendencies, whereas from Mako, we are going to see the Sombra come out, which is probably going to be one of the most important pieces that they need in this match. In order to really get use out of her, they need to focus down this Orisa's shield. They need to make a distraction in order for Sombra to get in there and get the hack that is needed, as well as being able to charge that EMP. They are also going to be running a Zenyatta, meaning that they have to keep that Zenyatta behind the payload or the Orisa shield, although he is going to fall very fast to actual Falcon right away, coming out of those doors. Pegmoon looking for an opportunity to set up and get these early picks. She is going to be targeted straight down by the Sombra, taken out of the fight immediately. Actual Falcon being the only other sniper of the team, Pegmu is going to be rezzed by courtesy of Fuel Jin. And this payload does look like it's starting to move underneath the choke. Pegmu, though, getting a pick onto the Zenyatta, as well as Sombra falling to actual Falcon, although Sombra does walk away with the life of Pegmu. An Immortality Field, though, does fall, with Orisa falling to Baptiste, as well as Hanzo falling to Baptiste. And it looks like Mako is going to continue this fight and continue this push going on, with Roadhog being the only one left. And he is going to fall to the enemy Baptiste of WP. And it looks like this payload is going to move forward to the checkpoint. Is Violent Tendencies going to try and make one last hold onto this first point? Instead, they choose to not to, and let this payload get capped forward. Instead, they want to start setting up for this next point. A hold pulls the Orisa straight into the air, as well as a hold from Violent Tendencies. A Dragons comes out from Violent Tendencies, though. Nobody is going to fall, thanks courtesy of an Immortality Field to keep the Baptiste up. A nice pull onto the Orisa from Violent Tendencies. She is going to walk away with her life, instead taking the life of Baptiste, who is going to get resurrected by Mercy. An Immortality Field comes out in order to keep the team up. Both Supercharger are popped out with an Amplification Matrix to keep that fight going on, but Dragons comes in order to zone out that point. A Whole Hog takes out the Supercharger, and it looks like Violent Tendencies is being pushed back even further, although they do, with the kill of an Orisa and a Roadhog, start to move in and force Mako back. Ike walking away with the life of the Baptiste, as well as the life of the Hanzo, causing a nice stagger for Violent Tendencies' favor. Very well executed, although it did look like they were losing that fight in the beginning. They were able to bring it back by causing the death of the Orisa, one of the major players for Mako right now. Although we do see an EMP ready to go, and it looks like she's waiting for her team to be ready in order to drop onto the Violent Tendencies in order to really start this push forward. And a massive EMP looking like it caught 4 people, although I believe the Hanzo fell just before. And Mako does walk away with the victory in that team fight. Very quick succession of that fight. Pegmu using his infra sight so they can see exactly where people are pushing from, and especially to take out that Sombra, which the Widowmaker is able to do. Payload, though, continuing to move forward. Ike fleeing a very useful Orisa, just laying in damage into that shield. Pegmu, though, definitely proving that Widowmaker is their specialty, with pick after pick in their favor. Sombra being spotted early on, with actual Falcon, though, taking out the Roadhog. As well as a hook, it looks like, onto the enemy Roadhog. A nice fight going on in this smaller room, with a whole hog being popped from Violent Tendencies. It is not going to cause the death of anybody. Instead, it is going to force the Orisa back, with Ike, though, falling to the Hanzo. An attempted pull onto Hanzo does fail. And it looks like Roadhog is trying to just be a force to push the enemy team back. Violent Tendencies looking very strong in this hold right now, with a Supercharger and a Dragons ready to go. An Amplification Matrix and a Supercharger pop. Massive amounts of damage are able to be pumped out. Dragons comes in straight into the middle of the team. It is going to catch nobody. Instead, the Widowmaker is going to fall to the Sombra, and a nice hook onto Roadhog forces to take a breather to be used, with Sombra taking out actual Falcon, and a Coalescence bringing in and laying down onto the Ike the Orisa, almost causing it, looking like it is going to cause his death. With the pick still constantly falling into the favor of Mako, it looks like they might be able to push this point to the end. With killing onto the Orisa, although Pengmu switching off to Thafara is going to take the life of Archangel. But a whole hog is going to cause the death of Corey and allow this payload to continue to move forward. Very well done, and this fight still isn't over, with Violent Tendencies still filtering in to keep this fight going. An EMP comes out, stopping the Supercharger and the Immortality Field from being useful, and Amplification Matrix and Dragons used from Mako in order to cap this point. Ike still into the fray to try and keep this point contested as long as they can. Ike will fall very fast, though, due to Archangel, as well as the damage of the tanks of the Baptiste. Sombra looking for her opportunity to start getting another EMP ready to go. Actual Falcon trying out the McCree. Looks like he is going to switch off to a different hero, with Farah being into the play by Pengmu. Although, Zenyatta is going to fall to this Sombra. Sombra being a very important piece for Mako in order to win this fight. And it looks like the whole hog is going to be popped by Violent Tendencies, causing it out all of the Orisa, as well as the Immortality Field. A nice pull onto the Hanzo. He isn't going to run away. Instead, he is going to be taken down by Spooky Assassin, with the Sombra being taken down by actual Falcon. Pangmu with a barrage ready to go. We also see a Valkyrie and a Supercharger coming online for Violent Tendencies. But when it comes to the side of Mako, they have an EMP coming on very fast if the Sombra is able to charge up that EMP. Although Mako taking out the first pick of Spooky Assassin with a Rocket Barrage to try and take people out, is only able to catch the Immortality Field. A Dragons and an Amplification Matrix comes out, dealing massive amounts of damage, with the Dragons being able to hide them from the Amplification Matrix. And that is going to lead to Ike's fall, as well as the death of actual Falcon. And this payload begins to move forward very quickly to this final checkpoint, with Spooky Assassin falling to Archangel, the Hanzo from Mako. Sights being very useful in order to figure out where Violent Tendencies are trying to push from. Another EMP takes the life of Pangmu and allows Mako to really push this payload forward. A failed Deadeye from actual Falcon to try and stall this point out did not do much, with Spooky Assassin falling and this payload being capped.
Score 0-3. Switching sides.
Mako definitely showing that they're still in this game, taking those 3 points on Dorado. They might try to force this to a Busan. However, if they go to Busan, I have a feeling that Warlocks will be brought back in, and for that control point, and giving them the ability to walk away with this match. Although Violent Tendencies definitely showed that they do have a very strong defense, holding them to 38 seconds left on the time bank. It is going to be a very close game for this map. Violent Tendencies, though, might still have a slight advantage with their abilities to just combo so well with each other. Looks like Violent Tendencies is going to be running with a McCree Widowmaker once again. Pangmu still staying on that Widowmaker, as well as Ike and Corey remaining on the Orisa Roadhog, as well as Baptiste still being a useful player in this match. As both teams are running a Baptiste Moira, the real only difference are the DPS, whereas Mako is instead running a Hanzo Sombra. Sombra being very, very useful, showing that Sombra is able to cancel out these bunker compositions very easily with well-placed hacks. Violent Tendencies is going to have a lot of ground to make. A Sonic Arrow shows exactly what they're running, giving Mako an idea of what to expect when coming into this push. They are taking a high ground advantage right away, but trying to contest this Widowmaker immediately is not allowing Pangmu to do much. Pangmu looking for a quick snipe onto anybody from Mako and forcing them back immediately to the choke. A nice hook causing the death of the Orisa. This push might already be done as they have lost their shield tank. Archangel causes Baptiste to fall, and it looks like Violent Tendencies is pulling back and trying to regroup. Widowmaker looking for a chance to make a pick. She is getting assaulted by the Roadhog, but Roadhog isn't doing much. Instead, just forces her to reposition. Roadhog pumping in a lot of damage into those shields, trying to provide a shield break. A nice hook onto the enemy Roadhog. With the Dragons, though, taking out actual Falcon, this could also once again be the end of Violent Tendencies' push. Coalescence, though, comes out from Violent Tendencies, as well as an Amplification Matrix, although 2 people do fall, Pangmu and Ike, to the Hanzo and the Sombra. And Violent Tendencies is forced to pull back once again. Violent Tendencies really needs to figure out what they're doing wrong and figure out who they need to target in order to start pushing this payload forward. Roadhog coming up with his ult very fast. already having his old hog, they could be able to they might be able to push with this. Actual fact, in switching over to the Sombra to try and negate some of this hold from Mako. Another good hook onto Corey. It forces him away, as well as a whole hog being popped. EMP catching 4 people, as well as Dragons going straight into the middle of them, which is going to lead to 2 of them falling. Make that 3, courtesy of Archangel, and Violent Tendencies still being held to almost a minute and a half onto this first checkpoint. Mako figuring out what they were doing wrong in those last 2 maps is showing that they can't bring this to a map 5. Coalescence popped once again from Violent Tendency. She is going to be hacked out of it though, with an amplification matrix pop from both sides, as well as supercharger from Violent Tendencies. Pegmoo taking down the Sombra as Junkrat with Riptire ready to go. Pegmoo also causing a death and taking the life of WP, as well as Ike taking out the corresponding Orisa, as well as leading to the death of Archangel. And Roadhog, nice triple kill from Ike. Violent Tendencies finally able to cap this first checkpoint. They still have a lot of ground to make up, with about 3 minutes on the time bank for them to cap this second checkpoint. Mako still running with a Sombra that has an EMP coming online very soon, and a Dragon ready to go in order to hold this point. Pegmoo using his Riptire, trying to break up Mako and trying to get a few picks probably. Seeing where they're positioned. An EMP though comes out. However, that Riptire is going to cause the death on 3 people and giving Violent Tendencies their opportunity to start pushing forward. Roadhog being the last one on that point. Ike is going to cause him to die. And it looks like Violent Tendencies is still going to pull this payload forward with an EMP ready to go for Violent Tendencies. Actual Falcon looking like he's looking for his opportunity to find a chance to use this EMP to its most use. Taking out that Immortality Field leads to a few dying. However, the Roadhog of Iken does cause the death of Sombra, as well as the Sombra taking out the Baptiste, but Pegmoo being a very useful Junkrat, taking out both the Sombra and the Baptiste of Mako. This payload begins to move forward with about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on this time bank. This is the very dire point for Violent Tendencies, as this last turn is one of the hardest things to do if you are held, is one of the hardest places to push if you are held at. EMP though from Violent Tendencies is going to catch almost everybody from the enemy team, only missing out on the Sombra, who has an EMP of their own. Corey killing the enemy Roadhog with an Coalescence and Coalescence and Superchargers being popped on both sides. EMP is popped and is going to catch 3 people with that EMP from Mako, but a Riptire comes in looking for picks. It is going to lead to the death of the Orisa, and it looks like Violent Tendencies might be able to take this last checkpoint with more time, with almost 2.5 minutes on the time bank. An amplification matrix is going to be popped right in front of the payload in order to try and contest it, although Violent Tendencies doesn't seem to care. Corey still popping off with that Roadhog, as well as Ike taking out the enemy Orisa. A nice hook onto a hacked Hammond does lead to his demise, and a Riptire coming out from Mako. Sorry, I'm losing my words here. Ike though taking out the enemy Roadhog, as well as Violent Tendencies looking like they're being a little bit held on this one. A massive team fight ensues with a massive hack, catching 3 people and almost guaranteeing their death for Violent Tendencies. May being one of the last ones on that point. Lucio is going to fall to the Coalescence. Roadhog trying to come back in. Total Mayhem does not catch anybody, but it looks like this payload is almost just about there. Hammond being the last one there to contest the point. Staggers coming in for Mako, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough as the payload is slowly moving forward. Another Riptire comes out from Pegmoo, but it isn't needed just to zone them out, and this payload is captured.
Score 3-3. Switching sides. Initiating match.
Very well done by Violent Tendencies, and it looks like they do have more time on the time bank, although it is not that much, as both teams did gain a minute from that time, a minute added, meaning that Violent Tendencies now has a minute 40 to capture this, just over a minute and a half, whereas Mako only has 1 minute to capture and get as far as they can, meaning Mako is going to be the first team attacking on this one. This could be the end for this match and the end of Mako for this first week. However, I do believe Mako could possibly hold this point, as Violent Tendencies did struggle to get it past this first checkpoint. And everything is just yet to be told, though. As we are seeing, though, Pengu is going to be back on the Junkrat, as well as Actual Falcon playing once again on the Sombra. It looks like Violent Tendencies doesn't want to risk anything, running Junkrat in order to zone out certain push routes, and Sombra just to cancel out the usefulness of Roadhog and Orisa. Mako using that Sombra to get right behind enemy lines of Violent Tendencies while Mako begins to push this payload forward. Sombra looking for her opportunity and figure out who she needs to target, while Pengu is laying in the damage. Actual Falcon, though, causing the death of the Moira and the Roadhog, and it looks like this payload might end up stopping right here at the choke. A nice hack, though, onto the enemy Orisa by Actual Falcons. Sombra and Pengu causes him to die. And it looks like if Mako is not able to get their push in now, 10 seconds left, and it looks like this is where Mako is going to be held, and all Violent Tendencies is going to have to push in order to walk away with this match. Another hack onto this Roadhog. This is where Sombra is best suited, able to hack out one person at a time and cause the stagger to go into the favor of her team. EMP comes out, though, for Violent Tendencies. However, they don't care. Even though they're hacked, they are still walking away with the kills. And Violent Tendencies using Pengu's Riptire to cause a little bit of a zoning. Ends round 3.
Score 3-3.
Violent Tendencies looking like they might have a slight advantage with little over a minute and a half in order to push this payload that just underneath the bridge. Violent Tendencies looking like they are going to be able to walk away with this match. It's really going to come down to if Mako is going to be able to target down either Ike, Falcon, or Pegmu very quickly, as these have been the 3 players that have caused major disruption for Mako, it looks like, throughout this match. Pegmu once again onto the Junkrat. Instead, Mako is going to be running Junkrat instead of Sombra with Hanzo, meaning this Sombra might be the key factor in this match and to finish this map out. With Violent Tendencies having that Sombra, she could be able to lock out the effectiveness of Roadhog and Orisa. Seeing what these teams are going to do, it does look like this last map is fairly close. Violent Tendencies coming in, starting up the shield right onto the payload in order to start pushing this forward. A nice pull, though, pulls the Orisa out of the shield, although it pulled her right into an immortality field. Payload fast approaching this final checkpoint of this match, with Actual Falcon using the Sombra, lacking out this Roadhog. He isn't able to heal himself, and Pegmu is there to help her. A nice pull, though, onto Corey, but he is able to get back into the immortality field, and a nice stagger starts happening with the immortality field falling, though, and this payload is captured with a C9 from Mako, and the end of this match. Violent Tendencies wins.
Play of the game.
Very well played though by both teams. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as close as it was closer than it looked. Although those last two maps, the middle two maps were not looked like it did go to Violent Tendencies very strong. I believe though it was fairly close from both these teams. However, when it comes to MVPs though, I would like to say that I have to give my MVP for Violent Tendencies to Pengmu, as he was a very powerful Widow and a very powerful force for Violent Tendencies to lock out Mako a lot of the times, especially going on to Ilios and on Dorado. And even to a point on a, what was it called, Horizon. However, when it comes to Mako, I've got to give the MVP to Archangel, as a lot of those holds were used because Archangel was able to get many picks in quick succession. Anyways, congratulations to Violent Tendencies on this first week game, and this has been the For Alligatron, signing off.